The quality of the footage I've been able to capture with the HoverAir X1 Pro Max has been simply incredible. Finally, a tiny foldable camera that can capture 8K video that's good enough to use in other professional projects. Now, if you're not familiar with HoverAir, HoverAir is the self-flying camera brand that kicked it all off, brought to you by the innovators at 00 Robotics. These guys have been raising the bar for flying cameras since day one. Remember the Hover Camera Passport? Yep, the first flying camera that could take off right from your hand and follow you anywhere. Super easy, super fun. And since then, their designs, they just keep getting smaller, lighter, and more powerful. Now fast forward to today, and we've got the HoverAir X1, a hands-free aerial photographer that basically does all the work for you. And now the big one, the HoverAir X1 Pro Max, an 8K flying camera with faster tracking and ridiculously good-looking footage. HoverAir isn't just about capturing moments. They're reinventing how we see photography and videography. And the best part? This is just the beginning. What I'm holding here in my hands is the HoverAir X1 Pro Max self-flying foldable camera, and most importantly, the world's first 8K flying camera. And as you can see, 8K is far superior to 1080p and 4K. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what comes included with the X1 Pro Max, some key specs, the many different self-flying modes, and finally, I'm going to share one big feature that's going to allow you to capture the very best quality footage. So the specific combo that I have with the X1 Pro Max is this one right here. This is the HoverAir X1 Pro Max combo. And this one comes included with a few extras versus if you get the base model. So here's what comes included with the HoverAir X1 Pro Max combo. So first of all, we get the X1 Pro Max camera right here. And then we also get this really nice case. This case has that hard shell on it, and it's really compact, doesn't take up a lot of room, and it fits everything nicely inside. Let me show you. This is how things look inside the case. And what also comes with this set is we have the dual battery charger right here. So this battery charger comes with one extra smart battery, and this is in addition to the smart battery that comes with the Pro Max. So this kit gives you two batteries. In addition, we have a 65-watt fast charging power brick. This combined with the USB-C cable that comes with this set allows you to fast charge those two batteries. So you can get back up and running really quickly. And if you purchase just the X1 Pro Max, you're going to get the Pro Max, a USB-C cable, and a soft carrying bag. But I highly recommend purchasing this combo. Having the dual batteries, this case, and the fast charging brick really adds a lot of value to this set, and it helps you really get the most out of it. Next, let's talk about a few key specs on the X1 Pro Max. First of all, the X1 Pro Max can capture 8K video and up to 8K 30 frames per second. In addition, the Pro Max can capture footage at 4K 60 frames per second and 4K 120 frames per second. So both of those options give you the ability to get slow motion footage from a variety of creative angles and movements. And the sensor on the Pro Max is a 1/1.3-inch CMOS, which is a pretty good size sensor for a camera so tiny. In addition, that sensor offers up to 14 stops of dynamic range. Now, if you're familiar with the concept of dynamic range, you may doubt that spec initially. I initially doubted it as well, but after capturing footage with this camera, I have found that there is actually a lot of dynamic range in the footage. And I will show you later on how to get the most dynamic range out of your footage. Now, when it comes to field of view, the field of view on this camera is 107 degrees, and I really like that field of view. It's wide enough for landscapes, but it's also not too wide that you get a lot of distortion. So it's really good for close-ups and further away. The Pro Max does have 64 gigabytes of built-in storage. And in addition, there's a micro SD slot where you can add up to 1 terabyte of additional storage. For following speed, the Pro Max boasts a top following speed of 26 miles per hour. This is more than fast enough for most action scenarios. When I had the Pro Max following me on my bike, there was no problem with it keeping up, even when I had that e-bike maxed out at its top speed. In addition, the Pro Max has an instantaneous tracking speed of 37 miles per hour. Next, let's talk about battery life. The smart battery that the Pro Max uses allows for up to 16 minutes of flying time per battery. This is excellent for a camera this small that's also capable of capturing 8K footage. Now, importantly, this also features omni-terrain and advanced collision detection sensors. What this means is you can fly in low light conditions, you can fly over water, you can fly over grassy terrain and cliffs, and you can capture every moment in any outdoor scenario effortlessly. As for the size of this camera, as you can see, it is quite small. It weighs a mere 192 grams with the battery installed, and the lightweight foldable design makes it easy to tuck away and bring anywhere. Next, I'm going to show you the many flight modes that this camera offers. The X1 Pro Max includes more than 10 customizable flight modes, and the combinations that are possible with these modes make it possible to have more than 30 unique flight patterns. And that's just including the AI modes of this camera. That's not including the ability to manually fly it, which you can also do. You can easily adjust the advanced parameters in the HoverAir X1 app on your smartphone. And once you've keyed in all the settings you want in each mode, you can then toggle between those modes on the X1 Pro Max, and you don't have to use the phone at that point. You can toggle through the modes, hit the button, and let it go. So first thing I'm going to do here is I'm just going to get this drone turned on and get it to hover in the air. So all I have to do here is unfold it, hold the power button. It's going to power on.
Current mode, hover.
So all I have to do is put the camera facing toward me, push the button once, and it's going to take off. And what it's going to do is it's going to hover right here, and it's going to record me. But it is going to follow me around as I walk around, but it's going to stay in one place right there. And this drone is also really simple to land. All you have to do to land it is put your hand underneath it, and when you're about 8 inches away, it's just going to gently settle right down into your hand. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the app here, and I'm going to show you how to configure some of the settings for different modes. If you go to Home and click on Flight Modes, you're going to see the 10 different modes here. So it's hover, zoom out, follow, orbit, bird's eye, manual control, dolly track, side track, ski mode, and cycling mode. We're going to go to hover settings, and you're going to see the different modes right here. Let's go to hover, for instance. You can see right here, I have all of my modes set to 8K 24 frames per second right now. And if you click on one of these, you're going to be able to change the duration. So you can set a duration if you want to set 30 seconds, or you can do continue. I like to do continue. And then you want target tracking on, and then shooting mode here, you can select HDR if you want to get HDR video, or you can select normal, slow-mo, or cine. So I'm going to select normal here, and you can change this to vertical shooting if you select vertical. And then down here, you can select your resolution and frame rate. So I'm going to select 8K 24. I'm going to hit confirm. And then you can select video encoding. I recommend H.265. And then also under filter, you can select standard, soft, or vivid. I personally like to select soft. I think that yields the best looking footage, but you can try the other options and see what you like best. So basically the same thing on these other settings, but with some of these like zoom out, you can tell it how far you want it to zoom out. So you can go from 5 feet all the way to 30 feet. And you also, with this mode, you can activate the rear active collision detection. That way, when it's flying away from you, if you fly it into a tree, it's going to detect that before it hits the tree, ideally. And then some of the other ones, like this one, the follow mode, you can adjust the distance, how far away you want it from you. So if you want it close, it'll follow close. If you want it far back, you can do far. So we're going to do the zoom out mode first, right here. And I'm going to demonstrate that for you. So got it set to zoom out, and I'm going to stand right here behind the camera, and I'm going to start it right here so you can see the whole thing. And what you need to do is you need to have the camera facing you to trigger the zoom out. And then you're just going to push the button once.
20 feet.
It's going to detect you as the target. And then the camera is going to fly 20 feet in that direction. And it's going to start recording. Once you see the red, you'll know it's recording. And then it's going to return 20 feet back to me. And then once it's completed its flight path, it's going to stop the recording. So the red light's going to go off and it's going to go green. And then I can put my palm under it and it's going to land.
Zoom out, follow.
And we're going to do the follow mode next. So I'm going to get right here and start the follow mode.
Middle, follow.
And what I can do in follow mode is it's going to detect me, it's going to start recording, and then I can go any which direction here, and this is going to follow me. And I can also face it and walk backwards, and it's going to follow me that way as well. Slippery snow. And then I can run again, and it's still going to follow me. So next, I'm going to switch this to orbit mode. So I'm going to have this do a high orbit, and it's going to orbit at 20 feet out. I need to get to an open enough area.
20 feet. Orbit.
And it's going to get up there to about 20 feet back. And then it's going to move in a circle around me. So the next mode I'm going to use here is bird's eye mode. And what this is going to do is this is going to go straight up, and I have it set on 50 feet. So I'm going to get out here where I don't run it up into a tree, and I'm going to press the button once.
50 feet. Bird eye.
And it's going to point the camera down at me as it goes up. And it is pretty windy today, but that camera's doing really well, considering that. And then once it's completed its flight path, it's going to come right back down here, and it's going to turn off recording. So I can land it right there in my hand.
Dolly track.
Now the next mode is dolly track. So what it's going to do is it's going to track me as I move here. So we're gonna tap it once.
Dolly track.
And it's going to lock onto me. It's gonna go back a little bit, and then it's going to track along with me like this. Slippery snow. But then if I decide to go backwards, it's still going to follow me. So I can turn, go the other way. And I can come by right here, and it's still gonna follow me. Next mode.
Ski mode.
Ski mode. So I'm not doing any skiing right now, of course, but ski mode is very similar to cycling mode. And cycling mode is what I'm going to do next. I brought along my Event and Adventure 2 today, and I'm going to have this follow me on that for a bit.
Cycling mode.
So we're going to start this on cycling mode. I'm on my bike right here, and it's going to take off. It's going to lock onto us. And then it's going to wait, and then it's going to follow. So for manual flying, we just have to connect here. And then once we've connected, we're going to go down here to manual control. And then it's going to have us connect via Wi-Fi.
Manual control.
And then once we're in manual control, we're going to see on the screen here what the camera sees. Tap the button once, and it's going to take off from our hand, and it's going to hover in the air. And it's going to await instructions. And then in manual control, you just have to make sure that you hit record manually, because it's not going to start automatically. So we're going to hit record there. And then our left-hand controls, they're going to change the angle of the camera, and they're also going to control the up and down, like that. And then our right-hand controls are going to control the direction the camera goes. So we can go left and right, and we can go backwards, we can go forwards. Now, let's talk about one huge feature of the X1 Pro Max that really allows you to customize the look and feel of your footage, in addition to maximizing the dynamic range. So in the HoverAir X1 app, there's a mode called Smart Preview. You enter this mode by clicking here, and it's then going to prompt you to establish a Wi-Fi connection. This Wi-Fi connection will be between your smartphone and the Pro Max. And once you do this, you are able to change the exposure settings manually. So that means you're able to change the EV value, the ISO, and the shutter speed. So first of all, this is huge because you're able to do this from your smartphone. You don't have to buy an additional controller to do this. You don't have to spend more money. You can do it right there from your smartphone using the HoverAir X1 app. And on a bright sunny day like today, I often like to bump the EV value down to about -0.7. This helps protect the highlights in the sky, and it helps the sky from getting really blown out and looking bad. It makes the footage look much better. And in addition, if you want to manually change the shutter speed to get that 180-degree shutter angle that's synonymous with cinematic footage, you can easily adjust that as well. So if you're filming in 24 frames per second, you want to set that to 1/50. And if you're filming in 30 frames per second, you want to set that to 1/60. And I love doing this with a flying camera because when you're flying that camera, it's going to make that motion blur feel much more real. And if you're flying close to an object, it's going to make it feel that much faster and intense. It really adds a great feel to your footage. And of course, you can also set your ISO to a static value. So if it's a really bright sunny day like today, you can put your ISO down to 100 or 200, and it's going to be more than bright enough. And of course, if it's a really bright day like today, even after changing these values, your footage may still be overexposed. So if you really want to get into that, I do recommend getting the ND filters from HoverAir. Those are going to help you get that perfect exposure every time, regardless of the brightness of the day. But you don't have to use these manual settings. But if you do choose to use them, your footage is going to look even better than the already great looking footage this camera can capture. So once you've keyed in the desired settings, you're ready to go. Hit the button and take off. So if you're looking for a self-flying camera to bring along on adventures, to better tell your story, and to capture creative shots from creative angles, I highly recommend the HoverAir X1 Pro Max. HoverAir has knocked it out of the park with this camera, and not only is the footage quite incredible, but the X1 Pro Max is also a blast to fly. I've had a lot of fun using this camera. It's fun and reliable. And I've linked to the X1 Pro Max in the description below. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe and bell notification button. I'll be releasing more videos with the Pro Max where I show you how to get the very best footage from this camera and all of the best settings that I recommend.